Okay, so now we are going to look at this worksheet. Okay, so these words are from the reading. So I want you to try to answer or try to write the words and or phrases to match the definitions without looking at your book. First try without looking at your book. If you really can't remember, then you can go ahead and look at your book, but first just try it without looking. And I also want you to make sure you check whether the definition is singular, like a place, or the cost, or plural, like boats. Okay, you have to make sure you check those. And that will determine whether the words, if they are nouns, will be singular or plural. Okay, and I also want you to make a sentence with each word and definition. So, for example, if you make a sentence, a definition sentence, with number 1, we could say, an attraction is a place that tourists like to visit. Okay, so as I mentioned, keep in mind that if it's a singular noun and it's a countable noun, then you want to use an article like a or un. So again, an attraction is a place that tourists like to visit. So actually, let me go ahead and write that down so it will help you. So an attraction is a place that tourists like to visit. Okay, so we can call this a definition sentence. Okay, now as I mentioned, since this is a countable noun, we use the word is, and of course if it's plural we say are. But if the word is a verb, then instead of using is, it's better to use the word means. So, for example, we could say, immigrate means to enter into another country from your country. Okay, as you know, all of you immigrated to the United States from another country. Okay, so again, immigrate is a verb, so it's better to say immigrate means to enter another country from your country. Okay, to live. Okay, and not just to visit. So go ahead and complete numbers 2 through 6. So match the definitions and use the words from the reading. And again, try to do it without looking at your book first. And then I want you to make a definition sentence with each one. Okay, so you can pause the video and continue when you are finished. Okay, so let's look at number 2. And the answer is admission. So I'm going to put that closer to the A. Okay, admission. So for the definition sentence, we can say admission is the cost of a ticket. So in this case, we don't have to say an admission because this is like a procedure. We don't really count admission. So we can just say admission is the cost of a ticket. You can count tickets, but we don't really count admission. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at number 3. The answer is in advance. And this is not a noun, so we can say in advance means beforehand. Okay? Okay? So, as I mentioned, it's not a noun, so we use means. Okay? Let's look at number 4. Sell. Let's move it up a little bit. Out. Okay? So we can, and again, sell out is not a noun, So we can say sell out means to finish the supply of tickets. Okay, so in this case, sell out is a verb phrase. I think it's a phrasal verb, so that's why we say means, and then we have to use to, because again, it's a verb. So means to finish the supply of tickets. So finish is also a big hint that it's a verb. And in advanced is not a verb. It's not a noun. It is, I believe it's an adverb phrase. Okay. Yeah, adverb. Okay. So let's continue. Let's look at number 5. Escape means, okay. Oops, I'm sorry. Escape means, and again, escape is a verb, so we also use to. Escape means to get away. Okay. And then finally, ferries. Okay, because remember I mentioned that you have to pay attention to whether it's singular or plural, and in this case we can see boats, so we have to say ferries. Okay, so when we make a sentence, we also have to pay attention to the fact that it's plural, so we have to say ferries are. Okay, ferries are special boats to carry people and cars. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the article. Okay, so it says read the article, complete the text, use the words from exercise A. Okay, so we're going to use these words to complete this story. So let me zoom out this time. Okay, let's see. I know that words are a little small, but I hope you can still see it. Okay, so the story title is Martha's Vineyard. And by the way, vineyard is a compound word made up of the words vine and yard. But this is a unique word because we do not say vineyard, we say vineyard. Okay, vineyard. But anyway, just wanted to let you know because I know it looks like vineyard. But keep in mind that is vineyard. So anyway, go ahead and take some time to complete the story using these words, and you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's look at the story together. A popular tourist destination in New England is Martha's Vineyard, an island off the eastern coast of the United States. Okay, now I'm just going to make a quick comment. New England, as you know, is not in England, but it's actually in America. It's in the United States. It's the northeastern part of the United States. So if you remember American history, the first Americans, the first Americans to immigrate outside of America were from Europe. So again, the original Americans are Native Americans, but the first Americans to immigrate were from Europe, like Spain and England. And as you know, England colonized parts of America, and the first places where they built colonies were in the northeastern part of the United States, what is now the United States. So we call that New England, okay, that area. So anyway, as you can see, it says an island off the eastern coast. So that's another hint. It's part of the eastern coast, but New England is northeastern. But anyway, let's keep going. It is especially popular with people from Boston or New York who want to escape the hot summers. Okay, to get to Martha's Vineyard, you go to Hyannis and get on one of the ferries. Ooh, that's really small. Okay, get on one of the ferries to the island. In the summer, it is wise to book your tickets in advance because the boats are very crowded and they sell out early in the day. The main attraction on Martha's Vineyard is the beaches. The water is cool and very clean. It is a good place for swimming, cycling, walking, and bird watching. You can also visit the Martha's Vineyard Museum. The admission is $7 for adults, $4 for children. Okay, so now we are going to look at exercise C. There are only 4 questions, and if you look at the example, the answer is very short. It's just a short answer, but I want you to make complete sentences. Okay, so let's look at number 1. What is Martha's Vineyard? Okay, and of course it's an island, but I want you to make a sentence, and you can say Martha's Vineyard is an island. Okay, and if you want, you can make you can add more details like Martha's Vineyard is an island off the eastern coast of the United States. Okay, that's probably a better answer anyway because there are so many islands. So the better answer is to say Martha's Vineyard is, or you can say it's an island off the eastern coast of the United States. Okay, so go ahead and take some time to do the rest of them, and pause the video and continue when you are finished. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Why do tourists like to go there? Okay, so you can see here that the main attraction is the beaches. So you could say, oops, let me try this one. Yeah, tourists like to go there, and then as you can see it says why, so we can answer because of the beaches. All right, because the beaches is a noun phrase. There's no clause, no subject verb, so we can say because of. If you remember, we learned this in one of the previous units. Okay, so tourists like to go there because of the beaches. If you want, you can use a clause and just say because the beaches are the main attraction. Or you could say because it is a good place for many activities. Or you can say because there are many activities. So based on whether you use a clause or a noun phrase, you can use because or because of. Okay, but I'm just going to keep it like this. Okay, and then number 3, what do you need to buy in advance? So we can find that here. So we can say you need to buy tickets in advance. Okay, so in this case, you is you plural, so it means people in general. So you don't have to say I need to buy. You can just say you need to buy. Okay, and then finally number 4, which activities are popular there? And we can find that here. So we can say swimming, cycling, and, walking and bird watching. There we go. Are popular there. Okay. So again, swimming, cycling, walking, and bird watching are popular there. Okay. So now we are going to look at our book again. So go ahead and open your books to page 130. Okay, 130. We're going to skip this activity for now. We're going to come back to it later, but I want you to look at the paragraph. Okay, county fairs. I'm going to read it so you can follow along as I read. One of the biggest tourist attractions in many cities in the United States is the county fair. A fair has something for everyone. It has a beautiful flower show and a photography exhibit. If you have children, they will love the Ferris wheel and the fast rides. If you like animals, you can watch many different animal competitions. The winner in each competition gets a blue ribbon. A fair also has displays of new products such as cleaning products and cooking tools. When you get hungry, you can buy food from one of the many booths. After you have eaten dinner, you can listen to a concert of live music until late in the evening. Many fairs end with spectacular fireworks. There really is something for everyone at a fair. And as you can see, the pictures have some examples from the article, like the blue ribbon, as you can see, and these are some booths where you can get food, and actually fair food or festival food is pretty popular and unique, like cotton candy, candy apples, and you might be familiar with funnel cake, which is a very popular festival or fair food, and sometimes even things like fried Oreos and corn on the cob, like actually Mexican style corn on the cob. What else? Corn dogs and all kinds of popcorn. So these are really popular fair foods. And of course, a Ferris wheel is one of the most recognizable things or rides at a fair. Okay, so we want to go on to the next page. Actually, let me show both pages. Okay, so now I want you to look at exercise C, but before we actually do exercise C, take a look at the red box or red outlined box here, and you can see that it says use complex sentences to make your writing more interesting. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me go back to the one-page format. Okay, so I can zoom in. Complex sentences are sentences with a dependent clause. So these are some examples from the article. But the first one says, if you have children, they will love the Ferris wheel and the fast rides. Okay, so this sentence has a dependent clause here. If you have children, so as you can see, this is not a complete sentence. It's just a clause. And if you remember, a clause has a subject and a verb. So you is the subject and have is the verb. But this is not a complete sentence. So we can also say that it's a dependent clause, not an independent clause. If you look at the main clause, it is an independent clause because it can stand alone. You can say this sentence by itself without the dependent clause, and it still makes sense. They will love the Ferris wheel and the fast rides. This is a complete sentence or independent clause. So again, if you have a dependent clause and an independent clause together, we call that a complex sentence. Okay, and now let's look at this second one. When you get hungry, you can buy food from at least 25 different booths. Okay, so when you get hungry, this is a dependent clause. Okay, and then the main clause is you can buy food from at least 25 different booths. It's a complete sentence. And then together, it makes a complex sentence. So going back to the article, you can see a lot of complex sentences. If you like animals, you can watch many different animal competitions. We already saw this one from the example. If you have children, and so on. Okay, let's see what else. When you get hungry, you can buy food, and this is also from the example. Even here, after you have eaten dinner, you can listen to a concert of live music. Blah, 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 blah. So complex sentences are good to include to make your writing more interesting instead of just a bunch of short, simple sentences. If your writing has only short, simple sentences, then it's not that interesting. It can get very choppy and boring. So we want to keep our writing interesting and varied. Varied means, different, so that all the sentences are not the same and they are a little bit different. Since this is our, writing lesson, I want you to improve your writing. Since you're level 3, you need to know different sentence types, okay, like complex sentences. Okay, so I want you to look at exercise 1 again. It says, write the name of a tourist attraction in your community. Now, usually our community is very close to us, like maybe your neighborhood or your city. But if there is nothing you want to talk about in Buford or Sugar Hill, then you can also talk about an attraction in Atlanta, or maybe even a couple of hours away from Atlanta. For example, I pulled up some places like Providence Canyon. Some of you might have been here before, but it's sometimes called Georgia's Grand Canyon, or the mini Grand Canyon. So this is a popular place in Georgia. But I think it's a few hours away. It's a couple of hours away from Atlanta. And then some of you might have been here, Tallulah Gorge. This is one of my favorite places to go in the fall. It's so beautiful, as you can see in this picture. It's also a very good hike. Well, actually, you have to get a permit to hike here. And there are also lots of steps, so it's really good exercise, but it's worth it because it's so beautiful. I don't think you have to get the permit to see this view, because the permit is for going across the river, and it's much longer. But I think anybody can visit this part of the canyon, this part of the gorge. But anyway, you can look up information if you haven't been there yet. And then, of course, Georgia Aquarium is another popular one. And you can include some of the reasons why it's popular, or why people should visit that attraction. Like the Georgia Aquarium is it used to be the largest aquarium in the world until, I think, 2012. What else? Like the world of Coca-Cola. That's very interesting because Coca-Cola is extremely popular and probably the most famous beverage in the world, and it was invented in Atlanta. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, you know what I mean. So add some information about the tourist attraction. So this one, of course, I can't check, but it's very good practice. So as you write, make sure you include the topic sentence, at least 3 examples, and a conclusion. Use at least 2 complex sentences in your paragraph, like we talked about here. Okay? And if it helps you, then make an outline before you write. And after you write, you can check your writing to make sure you included these things. Okay, so anyway, this is just for your own practice. But we are going to end the lesson here, and I will see you for lesson F. All right, bye-bye.